Are you happy with how your year has progressed in real estate in 2023? What if it's going to be the same moving forward in 2024, if not worse? What if the rates continue to stay at what they are or they get worse? What are you going to do about this? This is precisely the best opportunity and time to look at what worked well and what did not work well on this latest 2024 real estate business planning session. I went over with my team along with other people in my network. What are the things that we have done well? What are the things that we need to do to improve? What are the things that you need to do to ensure that you're gonna have the highest chances of success in 2024? And how do you implement those things into your business? Let's get going.
But let's begin in terms of the business planning clinic. Now, this is a workshop. So for those that are watching, those that are here, open up your laptop, get a piece of paper, because there's a lot of things I want you to understand, like what went well this year, what didn't go well this year, and what are things that can be done to improve. So that's the objective of this. Like, what is the recap of the year? Like, how did you feel your own commitment level was this year? It was not easy for a lot of people, and it wasn't easy for myself or the team per se either. But people are still moving along. There's still a lot of transactions to be had. But the question that you all want to determine on your end too is, were you really that committed this year? Like, did you actually put in the amount of time? Did you spend the key amount of time that is needed to do well? The other thing, accountability. What kind of accountability do you think will help more? Do you need somebody to tell you every single week, look, are you hitting the numbers that you said you would do yourself? What do you need to get a coach? Do you need to change things up? These are all specific things that are not related to just purely on rates or purely on the market. Like, this is on your own efforts. The question some of you may have to also think about yourself is, why are you here? Like, why is it real estate? You could be doing other things. Should you be doing something else? Or can you still commit to real estate? And where do you plan to be in the next couple of years? So once you do that, what I want you to also dig into is your own personal stats. This is our team stats for the year. So what I wanted people to do as a breakdown, because this is very important, how many deals did you do total throughout the year? And also, where did those sources come from? Because of that, because of these numbers, you should have an increase on these numbers for the ones that you really want to focus on, the ones that you think you can scale. And then the question we'll bring on a little bit later is, what should you be doing for that? So for example, for us, 11 out of 46 deals this year were from personal people that we knew or from personal referrals. And so what are things that you can do to increase that? Perhaps throw events, invite them over a lot more, treat people out to dinners, gifting. Like, there's a lot of these gifting programs out there, right? Staying top of mind, right? There's a lot of things there that if you haven't been implementing and you feel like that's something that you want to grow and you want to put a little bit more effort and control in, that's a way to do it. For us, YouTube creating content has been important for us. So what should you do? Make better videos, spend more money, plan more, learn more, different things like that. For us, open house was big, right? 10 out of 46 deals were open house. Actively reach out every week to try to find open houses. Try to get as much as you can. And then what you do during that time, practice your conversions, right? Practice your conversion scripts, door knock the neighbors, call the neighbors, right? These are all additional things that you can do as a routine to have a chance to be able to do more. Paid leads. There are many ways to spend money. You can spend on Zillow, Realtor.com. I separated the two. I separated one, which is the paid leads of like what I consider high quality leads, because they are lower in the chain, but they are a lot more expensive. And then the other is like low quality online leads. Those are like Facebook ads, Google PPC ads. There's a reason why it's significantly cheaper. But if you want to improve and do more on paid leads, if you feel like that's an avenue that you want to do, then what should you do? Either you spend more money, that's obviously one option, or also learn how to convert better, right? When you first get that connection, are you doing all the right things to connect with them? Are you sending them properties every week? All these are things that can be done to improve upon that and just increase the odds slightly. Related to low quality online leads, this is a little bit different. So while you can get a lot more, the question is, do you have the right processes in place to really nurture them? Generally, leads are on Facebook and Google PPC are people that are 1 to 2 years out. And that's okay as long as you have the system in place, right? So are you following up with them regularly? Do you have drip campaigns? Do you maybe have to hire an inside sales agent to call them continuously to add value to try to set up appointments, right? These are all the different things that are needed for that. So the idea is I want you to break it down to really understand, one, what was the total this year? Two, what is the goal then for next year? And if there is a goal of improving upon it, then what are the actual steps you need to do to be able to do that? This is all very important to also break down and understand. So some people may pull from all time. Some people may pull from all time of how much money was spent, because some of it also has a very long time horizon. Because at the end of the day, the deals don't close automatically, right? They don't close within the money that you spend. It's actually usually you spend a good amount of money up front, and then down the road, they may close. These are all important things when it comes to really running the numbers and making sure you want to keep going down this path. But at the same time, if you're not finding success, and it's been, I would say, if you've been doing it consistently for over 6 months to a year, that is certainly a time to consider, do you still want to go down that funnel? Because as you can see, there may be a lot of other better things to use. Sometimes we get caught up about that instant gratification by paying for a Zillow lead or a Realtor.com lead because it's a showing request. But then if you realize and run the numbers, you're like, even though I can do 2 transactions from Zillow, that's not as good, right, as just taking some more clients out for dinners and getting another referral lead from that. So there's all these different things that you really want to think down and plot for yourself. Where did all the leads come from? How much was closed? What's the money spent? And does it make sense for you to keep dialing it up, keep the same, or reduce it? And these are all very important things for you to decide, because they all will work, but they all have a different process and different game that's there to it. Now, the other thing I want to share with you too is you should be able to measure a lot more things too. And one of the biggest things that I tell my team, but also in general, is what is your conversion rate? We didn't track, unfortunately, the number of conversations. There are different ways of doing that. We didn't track that, but we did track what are the numbers right now when it comes to number of appointment sets, actually doing like a virtual presentation or a buyer's consult or seller's consult to closing. And then what do those numbers look like if you actually were able to meet with them in person? And you can see it's always an improvement if you're able to meet with them in person. If you have the opportunity and they're willing to do it, meet with them in person. Either meet with them at a home, do a drive-by consultation, like a driveway consultation, meet them at a coffee shop. Think about this, coffee, let's say it costs $10, can improve your conversion rate by 11%. This is very, very significant. I just ran these numbers for 2023 yesterday. And so these are our numbers as a collective group, but you can also do it to compare with yourself. But the key is you also really want to understand, how does this fare for the general market? How does it fare for others? And how can you improve upon things? Now, once again, though, to be fair, this metric is a little bit of a lagger too, right? Just like the lead dollar that you spent before, it does take time for them to buy a place. So the numbers will be technically a little bit better, right, over time, just because you'll get more closing from the people that you had already these appointments with. But it does still give you a general idea of, is your conversion like really, really bad? Is it a buyer consult you need to do? Is it what you need to do after it? There's all these different things that you can think about and improve on the sales skill side of things. So this is something that it's very important. And the question you may be asking next is, okay, well, Spencer, cool. I wish I knew this information. How do you track this? So we use ultimately 2 main tools internally. We use one, which is called Sierra Interactive, which is the CRM that we use. And then we use a analytics tool, which is called SPENCERHSU. And I'm happy to give you like a promo of this, but we personally use this ourselves. What's the difference between the two? Really, these are the only 2 main tools that you need on the tech side. The Sierra Interactive is on the CRM side. So all those stats, being able to tag people. So for example, I wanted to see, when did I have the last appointment with somebody? You can see when that was done. You can also see when was the last time you met them in person, and to be able to track all of these things. All of that can be done within Sierra by just having different tags. SPENCERHSU is really good on the analytics side. So it's good as a transaction management tool, but it's also good for general budgets. So like inputting that in. So when you saw those numbers of the ROI, those are all from the SPENCERHSU side to be able to see, okay, I spent X amount this year. These are the sources that I spent it on. What is the return on that? And it's also where I didn't share the GCI specifically on this, but that's also where you can share what is the actual ROI based on the GCI amount. So these are some great tools to be added to your toolbox if you choose to use it. You don't need them at the same time. You can choose to add one later, but those have been really helpful if you really want to understand the numbers, which is ultimately understand the business side of things. So let's talk about the next steps, right? You saw the numbers yourself. So the question that you should have at this point is your own game planning. Should you increase the budget of any of these things? Are some of them working better or worse than you thought it would be? These are things to consider. For many that are here, fortunately, most of you are at EXP already, so you have a very favorable commission split. But if you don't have a very favorable commission split with a cap, should you change companies? These are all business decisions that this is the right time to do these moves when, as we go into the winter season, things will be quieter, but this is a perfect time to implement these things. That's why we have this event at the end of October versus just right in December, because now this is a time where you start implementing. As you can see, just because you spend the money now, it takes time to actually implement. The key also is do not jump back and forth with this. You're gonna stick with one thing. Let's say you're gonna do YouTube as a hypothetical. You can't just do for a month and be like, it doesn't work. If you're gonna do something, be willing and able to commit to it today for at least a year out. Because that may be the time it takes for you to get traction, but you also to get hopefully some closings out of that. But jumping back and forth, you're not building, you're not continuing to improve upon the skills and the source that you are doing. Let's talk about marketing plan. It goes back to what I just shared. What are your lead sources? Where do you want to try to improve and increase? Where do you say, look, it's just not worth the time. You can do something better. And this is the actual time to start implementing, as I mentioned. So what you should do is you should come up with all these different things. And I'm happy to help with some of these too, but come up with the actual game plan. Look, I want to do more events. Okay, cool. What's the milestone for events? Maybe it's one large event a month. Maybe it's you hosting an event once a month if you can't join one. There's a lot of ways for you to do that if that's what you want to do on the marketing side. Maybe you want to do door knocking. Well, commit to that. Commit to X amount of homes every month. And then once you do that, then the key too is, okay, now that you have established this, are you actually following up with them? The people that seem like it could be a good prospect or a good advocate of yours or a good partner of yours, are you actually touching base with them periodically? At the worst case, every 3 months, if there was something that you may want to potentially work with. These are all the different things that needs to also be implemented, even though you may have gotten the lead or the person into your database. So have that as a routine. One of my routines, and to be fair, I haven't been on top of it as much as I should, and most have been the same. I haven't been touching base with my past clients or top advocates as much as I should. So these are additional things that you want to make sure it's a routine thing. Have it reoccurring on your calendar. Block off half a day or something. Every 3 months, you follow up with past leads, right? Like these are all opportunities to be able to stay relevant to them. And who knows, they may progress. It is always better to go deeper with the people that you have than it is to go more broad. Hypothetical example, let's say someone is asking for your business. Let's say a random financial advisor was asking for your business. Hey, Joe, I just want to let you know I'm a financial advisor. If you know anybody, send it my way. How would you feel with that? Would you give them a lead just from that early conversation? The answer is probably not. But let's say that person has been selling you relevant information and helpful information every 3 months. Maybe you've been hanging out for that time and they're a really cool person. You're more likely to send them business and help each other. Stop thinking about going so broad when you can go deep with a lot of key people, right? It's that kind of combination of that 80-20 rule, but it's also just kind of common sense once I kind of explained it, right? Like you're gonna do more business with people that you trust than just kind of blanketing. But it is on you, because you're the salesperson, to still be relevant to them. So it's on you to organize your own schedule to be relevant to them. They're not going to remember to follow up, but you can. With these tools and with the discipline, you are able to follow up. That's the idea about this plan. Most of you have plenty of people in your database. The ability to stay connected and go deeper is something that we can all do better. So as I mentioned, identify your quarterly goals. The way I like to break it down is you may have goals for the whole year from this business plan. This is a 2024 business plan. But now I want you to break it up. If you want to do certain things, keep in mind, you can really only do a few key and core things well. Pick maybe just like 2 or 3 things that you're going to implement and improve on. So identify those and then block it off on your calendar accordingly. So if you're saying, Spencer, I'm going to commit to farming. I'm going to farm these 200 houses. Cool. Well, what are you supposed to do with that? Put it on your calendar. Realistically, how long would it take to do 200 homes? Maybe it's a day or 2 days, whatever it may be. Block it off on your calendar and actually do it during those days. If you're going to move it for whatever reason, you better still do it, right? Don't just move it out indefinitely or just hit cancel. Don't snooze it. If you're going to do it, because that is your commitment of that goal. So these are the different things to time block. If you're going to shoot videos, block it off. Maybe a day is for research, a day is for scripting, a day for shooting, a day for editing. Like these are all needs to be blocked off. That's the idea about all of these in the sense of you have a game plan, but now you got to actually do it. And so your only way you're going to do it is by blocking it off the calendar accordingly, and then you'll be able to allocate that time. And then the next quarter, you do these kind of mini sessions. So see what has worked well, what hasn't worked well. Do you want to make any tweaks? If you're going to add things, can you still work on your current workload? Right? These are all important things because at the end of the day, we all only have so much time. As I mentioned before, this is still a EXP presentation. For those that are at EXP, it's still always good to rewatch this and understand this. But for those that are not, this is also more importantly for you guys. So as part of business planning, I do want to talk about these different items that are important for the business side of itself. So if you are not at EXP and you want to consider it, the commission structure side is very important. And so I want to highlight what this is. And many of you know it, some of you don't. Yeah, EXP, there's no difference between someone that's 20 years in or someone that's 5 years in, because we all run the same model, which is 80-20 split with a $16,000 commission cap, right? So it's a very, very attractive, especially those that are doing a lot of production. They get to keep a lot more of their money to then redeploy to their business. This is why this piece is so important for people to really do the math. The financial planning of this exercise is also a good time to do this. And this is the right time to make the move too, because at the end of the day, as we are getting to the winter season, you have probably less transactions, especially less in contract. And so this is a time to do it as you start ramping up back up for next year. The other thing about this is, even though it's a very attractive commission structure that you see, it's also equally as attractive for bringing on good talent and people into the business. The way that we like to lead, as you can see, is by production. We also like to lead by leadership and helping other agents actually try to do more business. Now, naturally, people also want to keep more of their money. So there's no point of generating all this business and then just losing it on the back end of some leak. But because of this model and because of the revenue share model that we have, we are all very incentivized to help one another. As you can see, you not only get the benefits on the brokerage level of the commission split, but you also get the benefits of the revenue share model, which is extra income. And you're not taking anything away from that agent. It's just the brokerage is subsidizing for some of these gains. And the benefit of this can be pretty extensive pretty quickly in terms of how many people that can do well and how much money that can be brought on for each individual agent. Now, this is not an indefinite percent. At the end of the day, because we all have caps, it is a percent up to that specific cap, but you can see very quickly it can compound. And we're not just in the business of recruiting, we're in the business of bringing on good people that can help their business, one, save a lot more money, but also two, now we are aligned and financially aligned. And so that's why we hold these events. We help a lot of other people. It's a good opportunity for you to bring on other people. And naturally, they can see the value. I'm saving money, I'm earning more money, and I'm learning and getting better. What else can you ask for? So a lot of us do spend extra time on this because it is so powerful and it can bring in a significant amount of money in a very short amount of time. In addition to that, we have several different things that we do as a supplement of what the brokerage level has. So the brokerage level, there's lots of information out there. There's courses, there's support, there's broker support, there's people that help you review contracts. Those are all there. But on our smaller group level, on the mastermind level, we have weekly coaching, we have some online courses. We're always available to answer questions and give advice. There could be different mentorships and different things like that. And so the question fundamentally that you want to think to yourself is, Could you do this yourself, or do you need to make some changes? Many of you can keep doing it yourself. That's great. We're here to be a resource. My specific core team is always still bringing on more talent that's willing to put in this work. But whether you're looking for the core team or on the brokerage level, then we're able to help with that.